Welcome to the Haymaker MMA Show with your hosts, Tanai Shah and Ian Wall.
We've got UFC 264 this Saturday. Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. They fought this January, and Poirier took that one. And they fought in 2016, and McGregor took that one. So this is the rubber match, the trilogy. Dana White said it's the fight that decides who gets to fight for the lightweight belt next. The early prelims and the prelims, they're all stacked. People are predicting it's going to be the biggest pay-per-view in MMA history, but I think it's going to be big, but I don't think it's going to be the biggest. But either way, Conor McGregor's back in Vegas. It's a big deal. They've stacked the card. We've got legends like Carlos Condit and Ryan Hall. We've got Sugar Sean O'Malley, and then a top welterweight contender match between Burns and Wonderboy Thompson.
So, dude, I saw I can get it up, the Carlos Condit, the full video of what happened in Afghanistan. You know that story of when he was supposed to be sparring with one of the Marines or whatever, and the guy was like, how hard are we going? He's like, I'll hit you as hard as you hit me. And the guy just fucking socks him, throws haymakers, right? So Carlos Condit just fucking lofts the left high kick up, drops him, hits him with the right hand. The guy's like just done against the ropes, and it was just like a sick know your place, humbling moment.
Start us off with picks. We're gonna start with Nico Price and Michel Pereira. This card is not the featured prelim; it's the one before that. But it's just such a banger at welterweight that we have to talk about it. These guys just come in to scrap. They're entertaining. They get into wars. They don't give a shit. They bleed. They fight their hearts off. And it's mostly a standing fight when both these guys go at it. So I'm expecting fireworks, and I'm sure Ian is as well. So Michel Pereira will come in as the slight favorite at -160. And Nico Price is at +135. I think they're just both great fighters. I think skill-wise, Michel Pereira is a little better. But Nico Price has that heart, and he can crack as well. He can finish you from the bottom, from the top, standing, sitting, lying down, whatever. So I promise it's going to be a banger. And as for my pick, I'm leaning towards Michel Pereira because he's a little more skilled. I know he gets crazy, and he just runs around the cage sometimes trying to do absolutely dumb, ridiculous shit. But when he's on, he's on. He's beaten up tough guys like Chaos Williams and Zelim Madev. He submitted him, which was a very good win. Nico Price has fought some top guys, but has never passed that tough test. He lost to Jeff Neal, Vicente Luque, and he had a draw with Cowboy Cerrone in his last fight. But he has power, and he has the heart. It's a good fight, but I'm going to go with Michel Pereira. What do you think?
Yeah, two fucking psychos. I think it might be the first matchup that I'd say Nico Price has the fight IQ advantage here. Michel Pereira just has all the God-given abilities and the talents and the skills, but for whatever reason, on some nights he just is a dumbass, for lack of a better term. And he's picked up some L's in the UFC because of it. Even the Diego Sanchez fight when he's beating his ass.
Stupid.
And then illegal
Stupid.
knee. Stuff like that. Tristan Connolly, he totally did not, I don't think, took him seriously and did the most antics I think we've seen in the UFC out of him in that fight, and it cost him there. It didn't show very good takedown defense. But since it's been showing an uptick in that. I think people around him have been trying to reel the reins in on him a little bit, and I think it's sharpened his fight ability and IQ. Had some good showings, like you said, against Chaos Williams, who we know is a crazy, explosive, dangerous guy on the feet. Some people have been able to figure him out, and Michel Pereira being one of them. But Nico Price is another guy that just seems to pull wins out of thin air. He's never going to be one of the elite guys. Who's not going to win against some of the more, I'd say, cleaned up career-wise professional guys like Vicente Luque, who really has great technique and throws everything clean and isn't just like go crazy for a fight, where I think Nico Price is just happy to be in a fight anywhere he is and he's getting paid money for it. I I think he's one of the guys that didn't pass like middle school either. I think he dropped out of school like unbelievably early. So good. He's getting paid to fight and is making some money for that. But it's a tough one to call for me. I think it's going to be a sick fight, like you were saying. I think it's either going to be a lot of antics and goes to a decision with not the most damage being done, or going to be the crazy both guys getting dropped. Maybe Michel Pereira drops Nico Price and Nico Price hurts him on the ground after he comes in after him. But hard one for me to pick, but I'm with you. I'm going to lean Michel Pereira on this one. Just think he has more avenues to get it done.
Yeah, I like that pick. And I don't know, I think Michel Pereira, like you said and like I said, that he's figured it out after that Diego Sanchez fight and the Tristan Connolly, where he was just like, he's literally just fucking around, like running around doing backflips in the cage. That was literally the summary of the fight, and he got a DQ and then an L. And I also agree with what you said about Nico Price. Like, he's just happy to be there. He's happy to scrap. I remember one time after one of his fights, I think he got the bottom, maybe an up kick finish, or the one where he had hammer fist on the bottom. But I don't know, after one of those, he's like, dude, like, this is just fighting. Like, we just know what to do. Like, I don't really train. He didn't say I don't really train, but he was just like, it's just fighting. Like, we go in there and fight, and that's how I win. Like, he said something like that. So very, like, fitting of his personality and his fight style. Just go in there and bang and have fun with it, which is, it's very fun. But like you said, I don't think he'll, unless he, like, starts grinding, getting technical and stuff, he's not going to be the elite of the elite at 170 pounds, yeah.
I put him in my in the rascal category, just the damn rascals with the Tim Means, Nico Price, even Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Poirier's a rascal?
Just the guys who didn't get very far in their schooling career at all, aren't the most like educated,
yeah.
And were just like punks when they were younger.
So the troublemakers
that you have to love because they've become the elite fucking troublemakers and they actually work hard for everything. But they were just some damn rascals when they were teens. Start off the main card with a bang. We got Sugar Sean O'Malley against Chris Montigno, who is taking this fight on less than a week's notice. And those guys always get treated well after that, so I'm happy for him. Hopefully this isn't a one and done type deal. Usually Dana rewards the guys who step up to fill in on short notice in a big spot, because Sean O'Malley was a big draw for this card. Obviously the McGregor Poirier is going to be the biggest draw, but I'd say next to that would be the O'Malley, whoever O'Malley was going to be fighting. But a little bit about Chris Montigno. He fights in the CES, or that's where he had fought most of his career. I don't even know what that's... Do you know what that stands for, or are you familiar with that promotion?
I don't know CES, but his most recent one was...
CFFC.
Yeah. That's the one I researched a little more.
And that probably gave him more better exposure.
Exactly.
And it got him probably to the big show. But you look at the CES career, or some of the fights before that, he had racked up 2 losses... 4 fights ago, I guess 3 and 4 fights ago. Tony Gravely, another guy who made it to the UFC, who's not a bad guy to have, not a shameful loss to have on your record at all. So watching some of Chris Montigno's fights, I wasn't the most impressed with his boxing or really anything, but he was well-rounded. He wasn't great at one thing and was bad at the other. He was pretty well-rounded, looked pretty comfortable on the feet, was primarily a striker. He's taking this on less than 2 weeks' notice against who a lot of people tout as one of the best strikers in that division right now. But the thing that worries me is that he's not the most dangerous. He doesn't carry the most threat, and has showed some openings in his last couple fights to get dropped. He's been dropped a couple of times, been finished a couple of times, and I just see O'Malley kind of running through this guy in the first round or two. And I'm getting the first or second round TKO. First round's plus 130, and second round was plus 370. And I was like, ooh, I might be eyeing up that second round TKO Sean O'Malley at plus 370. What do you think?
Yeah, I was leaning towards the first round, but I think I completely agree that O'Malley's going to run him over and knock him out. I mean, that guy's Chris Montigno's taking the fight on a week's notice. Like, that's tough. And you're coming in against a guy like Sugar Show, who's just so long, such a good striker. And like you said, Moutinho is well-rounded, but he's not super special or anything, and nor does he carry that power threat. O'Malley was supposed to be matched up against Louis Smolka, who pulled out a week ago. That's why they brought in Moutinho from CFFC. I mean, good for him that he's taken this opportunity, and hopefully, like you said, that even if he loses, they give him another shot and build him up the right way. But if he wins, it'll be a huge deal for him, and that would be cool too. But I don't see it happening at all. I like round 1 over round 2 because I don't think O'Malley's gonna let him settle at all. Because the lights are very, very much brighter in the UFC, especially a Conor McGregor pay-per-view or any pay-per-view than it ever is gonna be at CFFC or anywhere else he's fought before. And that plays onto a lot of people. I think O'Malley feeds into it, but we don't know about Moutinho because we haven't seen him in a spot like this. Yeah, plus 150 you said for the first round.
Plus 130 first round TKO.
Plus 130 first round TKO. What's just a regular TKO minus like 300?
I didn't have it up, but give me a minute. I think it was like minus 200, or him by finish. I think was minus 200.
Him by finish minus 200. Yeah, maybe I'll just toss that on.
Oh, you're right. Sean O'Malley TKO minus 290.
Yeah, by knockout. Maybe I'll toss that on a parlay, but I do like the first round. I think he gets him out of there quick. Up next, we got some female bantamweights, some top ranked. Rank 4, we got Irene Aldana taking on the 5th ranked Yana Kunitskaya. Both are very talented fighters. I think they're both like pretty much in their prime, and they're doing really well at the moment. Like they've beaten everyone in their weight pretty much, besides the really, really top level women. Irene Aldana lost to Holly Holm last, but then before that she knocked out Caitlin Vieira, had a pretty comfortable win against Vanessa Mello. Yana's done well too recently. Caitlin Vieira, Yulia lost to Aspen Ladd though before that. So they both have good wins under their belt. Plus, when they get on top, like the top level, I think they fall a little short. I like Irene Aldana. She's got the height. She's got very good hands. You know, that typical Mexican boxer hands, almost like you see from the Mexican boxers and what we saw from Brandon Moreno. Just a quick, speedy, lengthy boxing. And I think that will be a big advantage for her. Yana, on the other hand, she's a well-rounded fighter. I think she's fine on the floor. She's good on the feet. And she does really well. But I think Irene Aldana, with that reach and that boxing and that power, I think she'll get it done. Although I might suggest that people stay away from this. It's a very close fight on paper and in the rankings. For the lines, what do we got? We've got Irene Aldana is at minus 120 and Kunitskaya plus 100. So that suggests that it's very close. If you had to bet, Irene Aldana, but I'd stay away. What do you think?
Yeah, so I totally agree with the Irene Aldana. There's like a Mexican boxer in every. There's like a staple Mexican boxer in every weight division, and for men and women. Irene Aldana is definitely that for her.
You gotta have the eyes to see it.
Yeah. So I think she's one of the best boxers in that division. Has been working on her takedown defense. That's been one of the kinks in her armor there. And that's kind of how Holly Holmes won her decision offer. Irene Aldana had some success on the feet, but I don't think threw enough. Definitely got beat up on the ground and just by Holly Holm in general, who's one of the elites towards the later rounds. I think she started to lose some steam. But Yana Kunitskaya, I feel like, is another one who isn't the best at anything, but is just kind of well-rounded. She plays a very like clinch-heavy grappling game against the fence, tries to get knees against the fence, but I think her striking defense is not very good. Watching the Caitlin Vieira fight, she did a good job of like closing the distance and getting the clinch. But Irene Aldana is an awesome clinch striker to begin with, and is awesome at keep using her length and keeping her range. They have the same reach, but I think Aldana just uses that space and movement so much better than Kunitskaya does, and I don't think Kunitskaya is going to be able to get to kind of her bread and butter, pressed up against the fence, look for some takedowns or kind of just chip away and render the other person not be able to do any offense and just do a little bit of offense enough to win the points there. I think she's struggled against the big strikers or the boxing heavy strikers who have some power. I think Aldana has some real power for her division. Kunitskaya lost to Cyborg and Aspen Ladd in the UFC, both who took like a striking heavy approach. So I like Aldana big time in this one. Or I shouldn't say big time. There's definitely avenues for victory for Yana Kunitskaya if she can get her down, and if Aldana looks like she hasn't done anything to work on her grappling game or her takedown defense, then that is definitely a avenue to victory for Yana Kunitskaya. But I like Aldana in this one. I'm going to put a unit on her, or I'll make a play on her of some sort for this week. I've been a fan of her for a little while, so I might be a little biased, but I'm looking at the Aldana by decision at plus 150 to get a little value.
All right, so you're pretty confident about that. All right.
Greg Hardy's back in the mix again. Unbelievable.
I think Dana likes putting him in the pay-per-views at on the main card of the pay-per-views because he's like a ex-football player and shit.
Casuals know his name, they know the storyline.
Exactly, right? Like, kind of shitty, fucking A.
But understandable.
Because I understand the publicity-wise, but like ranking-wise and shit and skill-wise, I don't think he deserves to be in so many big spots like he is. Because that's the third to last fight on the main card, and I don't think Greg Hardy has earned that in the MMA sphere or whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he would earn I don't think he earns the third spot, but
he's got the name.
He's got the name, and also he's been doing goddamn good. He's only lost to the vets or the elite guys. I want to hate on him so bad, and I do hate on him. And I want to see him lose every single time, but he's just so athletic, and he's been able to transition well.
Yeah, you got to give it to him that in a short time since the Contender Series, he's been tough guys, but like you said, lost is the really tough guys. He's doing fine, but I'm just saying he doesn't deserve to be in a spot like this right now.
Totally agree.
Either way, he's taking on Tai Tuivasa, the Australian. Loves doing the shoey. He's got very good hands, I think, after 3 losses in 20... What year was that? Shit.
2018
in 2019, he had 3 losses. He was very close to being cut. And then I remember he was on the Khabib card against Stefan Struve, I think, right? Yeah. And then he knocked him out, bounced back, and then they gave him Harry Hunsucker, knocked him out quick also. So yeah, I like Tuivasa. I fucking love his personality. I like his fight style. He comes in, he scraps, the typical Australian. Just, he's ready to fight. He's a good guy. He's hilarious. And he's a very skilled fighter. I'm glad he could make himself get those wins and stay in the UFC because I think he's valuable. Like his fighting and his personality is valuable to the company, I think. And then he's taking on Greg Hardy. Obviously, we talked about his athleticism and how he's accomplished already so much in the sport, being in it for such a short time, which isn't an easy thing to do at all. He has the name, so he gets the spot, but I like Tuivasa in this one at minus 130. And I would say might as well take Tuivasa by knockout, right? Because these heavyweights are going to bang, and I think Tuivasa is the more better boxer. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think Greg Hardy throws a few leg kicks, but I don't think those are going to cause too many problems. And I will say that Hardy's 6'5". He's a big boy. He's tall. But I think Tuivasa can get in the pocket and knock him out. So I would take Tai Tuivasa by knockout. But if not, I'd take him money line at minus 130 all day.
Yeah, this one breaks my heart because I think Tai Tuivasa is a dude that if you're one of the heavyweights that doesn't come in with the best camp or the best game plan or the best coaching, I think he's a guy that can be beat with a good strategy. You don't have to be the best fighter to beat him. I think he can be beat with a good strategy. And all the things I was saying before, I feel like Greg Hardy can be able to fill in the gaps to put out more volume, maybe avoid the heavy outside.
The pocket exchanges, you think?
Yeah, not fighting a phone booth, maybe clinch up, go for a takedown or two. He's shown his wrestling and grappling isn't the worst. It's not by no means polished at all, but definitely I think if he worked a full camp on some wrestling every day or a single leg takedown every day, that he could get Tai Tuivasa down, and I don't know if Tai Tuivasa can get him off of him. So I actually have two things that I'm thinking of going here. Tai Tuivasa's proven he's a dangerous ass striker. I feel like he's hit or miss. All of his wins besides the Arlovsky fight were KOs. I was looking at Tai Tuivasa by TKO at plus 155 as a cover for my Greg Hardy by decision at plus 360. I think there's tons of value in that. I don't want to see it happen, so I'm going to cover and hope the stars align and Greg Hardy gets some vicious TKO and kind of gets the revenge or the payback, I guess, that we feel like the universe should have in store for him. But I think he has a real chance of getting it done by decision, and at plus 360 odds, I think I'm going to take that play and cover it with the Tai Tuivasa by TKO.
Agree with your points about Greg Hardy and Tai Tuivasa that if someone comes in with a real plan, they can outlast or outpoint Tai Tuivasa. And Greg Hardy comes from American Top Team. They always have solid plans for their opponents, and they have one of the best teams in the world. So I think he'll be ready, and it could happen. But I think Tuivasa is going to knock him.
Next up in the co-main, we got Gilbert Durinho Burns coming off of a TKO loss to the champ Kamaru Usman, going up against the nicest guy, the NMF in the UFC, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who we all know is one of the best, coolest strikers to watch, seems to be the most precise and calculated, and which is weird because I feel like that doesn't come across the most in fighting. Sometimes there's so much mind games and timing and different traps people are setting that just go right over all the viewers' heads. That is really high level thinking stuff. But for whatever reason, Stephen Thompson's his style, that kind of calculated, precise thinking kind of shines through, or you can really see it while he's fighting more than you can the other guys. But this one for me, out of the main card, this is the hardest fight for me to call. I think there's so many different ways this can go. Or actually, I shouldn't say that. There's really two main ways this can go. I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is telling himself, all right, I got one more run here. I'm going to give it one more real shot. I'm on a little bit of a streak right now. I think he's on a 2-fight win streak.
Yep.
And against some two really good dudes in Vicente Luque, who I am a huge fan of, and Jeff Neal, which he looked awesome in. So I think Stephen Thompson saying, all right, I'm on a 2-fight win streak. I'm going to take this last run at the belt. And I think to get there, he needs a spectacular KO or a really great performance. He said that in interviews that he thinks if he puts an exclamation point on this fight that he should be next in line for Kamaru. And so, and I believe him, and he's one of the most dangerous strikers, like I've been saying, in every form of really striking there is. Gilbert Burns, on the other hand, is just a weapon of a grappler. Crazy, super good jiu-jitsu. He's gotten a lot better with wrestling. His takedowns are pretty good. He can definitely rely on some takedowns to get people to the mat, unlike some other jiu-jitsu guys rely on or cannot rely on. And I also second what Burns has said in interviews, saying that he's a better version of Woodley right now. And, if he can't beat Woodley, what makes you think he's going to be able to beat Burns? And that got me gassed up for Burns. And then I watched some of the last 2 fights he was in, and I think his striking defense looks like shit. So I can see Stephen Thompson getting a nasty KO here, and I can see Gilbert Burns being able to either drop him knock him down on the feet, and then keep control on the ground and win rounds that way and come out with the win, or get a submission after hurting him on the feet. And I can also, like I said, Stephen Thompson KO'd him spectacularly. So I'm looking at this one to not go the distance at plus 106. That's my official only bet on this one because it's so hard for me.
All right. I'll tell you, here's what I want to see out of the fight. I want to see Wonderboy win because we haven't seen him against Usman. We saw Burns against Usman. He did well at the start, got overexcited, and then got knocked out. I want to see Wonderboy because Wonderboy does truly have really underrated takedown defense. I want to see Gilbert Burns shoot takedowns and Wonder Boy kind of stuff them 1, 2, maybe 3. I just want to see it, so I have some faith that yes, someone's gonna beat Usman. I know they said Colby's next in line, but I don't think Colby beats him. I don't think after what we saw from Leon Edwards, who's a really good fighter, very technical striker, also improved a lot on the ground as well, but I don't think he beats Usman. I think if Wonderboy can stuff a takedown or two and Usman feels like he's going to strike with Wonderboy would outpoint him all day. That's what I want to see, and that's why I want Stephen Thompson to win. But nothing against Burns. Like, Burns is a great guy, great fighter. He's got fucking power in his hands. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in MMA right now. But and he has ways to win. Like you said, he could submit him. He could get he could hurt him bad too because of the heavy hands. But just to see some parity against Kamaru Usman, and just because Wonderboy is Wonderboy, and I think he should have beat Tyron Woodley when he had his 2 opportunities. I'd like to see fucking Wonderboy get in there and mix it up with Usman. But as for a pick, yeah, man, I'll stay away from it. Honestly, I don't know about the decision one because it could. I think if Wonderboy wins, it could go by decision. I don't think Burns is gonna beat him by decision at all because it's only 3 rounds. It could easily go the distance. I think. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Only if Burns wins, I think he can. Not, but Wonderboy doesn't get finished that much. His only knockout or submission loss is against Pettis, where it was pretty much a freak knockout. Wonderboy was beating him up, and then he just jumped over against the cage and landed that Superman punch. So that's his only loss via finish. And Burns only has 2 TKO losses, and obviously the last one wasn't good because he got knocked down by a jab a couple of times. It wasn't the best. If you're in his corner or rooting for him, or if you're Gilbert Burns, you don't like to see anybody get knocked down by a jab. That just means his defense is very weak. He got touched so many times on that chin. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna pick Wonderboy by money line. I think it's at -155, but I would stay away from it. I'm not gonna pick it. I'm just gonna sit as a fan and root for Stephen Thompson.
In the main event of the evening, the trilogy we've all been waiting for. Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Conor the Notorious McGregor. I think people are all talking about the rubber match, and I think what's interesting about kind of this rubber match is a lot of times it takes Stipe or DC or even the Fury Wilder fights in boxing. Usually the rubber matches happen when it's still kind of fresh in people's minds. They remember the last 2 fights, not just the most recent last one. But in this instance, or in this case, the Poirier-McGregor one happened before really either of them had their names in the UFC. Poirier's had 10 fights since then. He's had more than that. Probably 15 fights since then or 12 fights since then.
Conor's had 8 or 9.
Conor's had 8 or 9 himself, exactly. So much has changed since that first fight. So really I'm taking only that last fight into my thought process. Not the original one. I think the mental scaries or what you could think back on what happened in that fight, you'd be able to logically be like, I've progressed so much. I'm not even the same man I was then. Look what I've done since then. Look who I've beat since then. And be able to not have that psychological effect on it. McGregor coming off of I was going to say, not a 2-fight loss streak. I thought it was Poirier then McGregor, but he had that good win against Cowboy, who isn't sitting the best as a win in anybody's book right now.
Yep.
But I think he's going to... Do you think this is a must win for Conor here?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, if he has to... I think either way, win or lose, he should fight Nate Diaz next. Finish that trilogy, I think. Because those 2 fights were close to each other in the time.
If he wins this, they're putting him in the belt because they want that. That Nate fight's always going to be there, and they want McGregor with a belt around him for sure.
Yeah, I understand that, but fuck yeah. I guess I'll take that. But I think if he loses, he should fight Nate for the trilogy. But that doesn't carry as much weight as Conor McGregor having a belt around his waist. So yeah, it's a huge spot for him. And the problem is that if he loses, we don't know if he'll come back and fight again. That's the whole problem. But with the UFC and all the fans and stuff, I mean, I'm just fine watching MMA, UFC, whatever the hell, without Conor. Like we watch everything, but for the money, for the casual fans, for the UFC, it's important that he stays winning and he stays close to the belt and he stays relevant so they can sell out more and more pay-per-views and more seats. So yeah, I think it's a big spot for Conor, and I think it'll be bad if he loses because people are gonna write him off quick. Like you go up, but then you can go down so quick. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna realize that yeah, Conor McGregor isn't all that. I think he is all that, but he isn't all that. If you know what I mean, I think he's fucking great. But if you talk to someone on the road, you'll be like, yeah, Conor McGregor is probably the best ever in MMA, which we know isn't true. That's my whole point. Yeah, it's a big spot. I do agree that it's not a real rubber match, like, because like you said, the Wilder Fury, Miocic, Cormier, and I'll add the Cain Velasquez and JDS one too. That was a trilogy, yeah.
Yep.
So those were real trilogies because 2 fights happened back to back, and then the third was pretty much right after.
Or at least was close together in people's minds. So you can...
Like in the space of 2 years at most, not fucking 2 to 3 years at most, not 6 years down the line. And so yeah, that's a good point that you made. I completely agree with that.
And my whole thought was more for just like his legacy and what like the kind of the mystical veil around him. I feel like personally, if he loses this, will be pulled back.
I think he loses, yeah, for sure. He loses that mystic thing, like that aura almost.
Right, the aura of it. Because I look at his last fights, right? He's got the lost to Poirier, lost to McGregor, lost to Khabib, and lost to Nate Diaz, right? Then you look at his wins. What are his really good wins? The Jose Aldo, Eddie Alvarez, right? That's definitely a good one to.
Solid. At the time, Eddie was good. He was the fucking champ, yeah.
Yep, he was
Eddie, Nate too. Chad Mendez was cool. I mean, even the Dustin Poirier, the first one, that's when they both got put in a big spot together, and he came out on top. So fair, dude. He's had a great career. Like he could retire. He could have retired 2 years ago. It'd be fine.
I'm just comparing it. I'm comparing it to Poirier here, right?
All right.
So then I look at Poirier's, and you got Pettis, Gaethje, Alvarez, Holloway, Hooker, McGregor. Like that's more of a damn Final 10 to go out on than a more impressive run in the UFC, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's 5 world champions.
Crazy. And even like Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's a guy who can beat anyone on any given night if he's on or not.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it does, but I don't think anyone can take away the double belt stuff.
Oh, no. He will forever.
Double champ stuff. All that lasts forever, and he did something. He's done a lot of special things in the sport, I think, but it will hurt him if he loses back-to-back to someone who he knocked out when he was good, I guess, you know? That's what people would think.
So all that aside, who you got?
All right. I was thinking about like the mentality that Conor's coming in. You know, he said no more Mr. Nice Guy and stuff. I do like the fact that he never makes an excuse after he wins, after he loses. Sorry, besides against Khabib, because that was a real grudge match. It was nasty. But against Nate, he said, "Yeah, I guess I gassed out. Nate doesn't stop coming forward, and I fucked up." Against Dustin, he said, "Yeah, he had the better strategy. He kicked my legs off. I was going on a more boxing approach." He knows what he did wrong and stuff. But on the mental side, I don't like that he's forcing like the trash talk. You know what I mean? Because Dustin's like hardly reacting to it. Like he had that it's all funny. Like I get it, it's all entertaining and stuff. But I don't think it's getting in Dustin's head at all.
Did you see?
Dustin's like, dude, I put you on airplane mode like 4 months ago, 5 months ago, whatever it was. You think you calling me P-head now is gonna affect me? I don't think so. So that's his attitude, and that trash talk, mental warfare is not gonna work this time at all, like it did in 2016. Or yeah, it was 2016 when they fought. Yep. No, it was 2014.
Dude, it's so long ago.
Yeah, it was 2014. So that's 7 years ago. Both young, immature, but I don't know. I don't like that he's going instead of like upping the trash talk. I hope he's upped his strategy and his like work and his stamina and all that stuff, you know, if you know what I mean. And I'm sure he has, because I don't think he likes losing at all. He came back a better fighter and beat Nate Diaz, which was a very close second fight. to be honest. But he did his homework and he lasted the 5 rounds. He learned from his mistakes. So I'm sure he does that against Poirier again. But I don't know. I don't think Poirier's phased at all. I think Poirier might knock him out again, like round 3 or something. Unless Conor comes in, I don't know what he's gonna do because Poirier's chin at 155 is just so different than that 145 where he just got clipped a little bit on the temple and went crumbling down, which was a bad look for a ref. He will stop it if you go down like that. But at 155, he took those big shots from McGregor, and then he's like, yeah, I can stand with him. It's almost like the Figueiredo Moreno thing, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They have that power, that striking that everyone's afraid of. But once you take it and you're like, fuck, I'm still standing here.
You get a little confidence.
You get confident.
You
and
can
then
start to let it go. Yeah.
Exactly. Then you can walk it out a little more and you can start attacking yourself. But that fear is always there, but it's not there anymore for Dustin Poirier. So I think Poirier's going to win, dude, and possibly going to knock him out.
I'm goddamn torn because on the Poirier side, just morally, on the Poirier side, I'd love to see goddamn Poirier. I feel like he's the real. I don't want to say Conor's not the real deal anymore. I think he used to be the real fighter's fighter. Kind of carried that chip with him. Wasn't all fancy and living lavish and whatever you want to call it. Just Poirier's got that rough shit to him still. That.
And even when Conor was living fancy before, I think he still does it. He's a fighter's fighter. Before he'd accepted fights against Diaz, 2 weight classes up, he would do shit. He'd step into fights. He took Chad Mendez when Aldo got injured for their fight the first time. So yeah, he was a dog. But yeah,
I feel like that's gone.
That same feel. It doesn't have the
same feel. I feel he doesn't. Before it was kind of not unspoken, but it wasn't what he said. It was kind of how he carried himself and whatever the little things. And Poirier still does that stuff. So, whatever you want to call it, that makes me want to see those type of dudes and Poirier come out on top and make it that much sweeter to put the nail in the coffin and be like, I was the better man. All that work I did, all those miles I put in, all those early mornings like that, that's worth it now. I've made it or whatever. So I really want to see that happen. But on the other hand, goddamn what it would do for the UFC going forward if McGregor wins again or something spectacular, fights for the belt, McGregor in the lightweight championship fight, just puts another shovel of coals onto the UFC engine that, as a fan who's trying to get this or loves to see it build and get on ESPN and more people watching it, I think that would be awesome for it. I also caught some Endeavor stock, and I think that one rocketed up also. But at the end of the day, all that aside, all the things you were saying, I gotta go Poirier. Most recent data here, like you were saying, I think he can take McGregor's good shots. I think McGregor's best shots will put anybody out. Definitely showed that he can be in danger in the first round, so it really makes me nervous. But my official pick would be Dustin Poirier, and I actually think he's going to win by decision this time.
All right. I'd be happy to see that, a back-and-forth war. Dustin getting his hand raised at the end. No problem. Yeah, dude, I don't know. We don't know anything from Conor because he hasn't been on the countdown. He was there for fucking 2 minutes, and on Embedded, I haven't seen him once. All we've seen from him are those tweets. First one to shoot is a dusty bitch. Coming for you, P-head, and Dustin's talking a lot, and a screenshot of his wife's fucking Instagram direct message. We haven't seen anything. You know what I mean? It's so hard to pick. We can't see what's going on. It's Dustin we can't see also, but we can see a little more. And he talks about it. Conor is just talking shit, basically. And I don't know how much he could change, dude, from those leg kicks.
So this is going to be my hot take. I think Poirier should go in there and not throw a single leg kick until halfway through the second round, or maybe at the start of the third round. Because there's been a significant amount of time in Conor's camp working on checking and countering the leg kicks, right? So then all of a sudden, you get into the octagon and start having the flashbacks of the leg kicks. And even though he got clobbered with the hands, for whatever reason, Conor seems to falling back on, not really using it as an excuse, but in his own head, that's what his demise was, those leg kicks. So I think he's going to be thinking about it. I think he's going to try to be ready for it. I think he's going to have a plan for it. So my hot take would be for Dustin Poirier to not throw a single leg kick until most of the way through the second round at least, until he's in kind of fight or flight mode, because obviously you're in fight mode, but kind of on autopilot, isn't thinking about it, isn't fresh in the game plan, and you can start to eat him up again, chip away at him again.
Yeah, when they say the game plan's out the window, that's when he should implement that game plan. That